Going once, going twice. Sold.
Auction results here. What we're going to look at here are some results from a sale. So we looked at a county sale yesterday for a minute, and in another webinar that we did, and found some really good deals. In fact, what we found was an auction where I don't know if it's the time of year, but it was on bid for assets. So it's not like it's a small platform where you're not normally going to get a lot of competition. Normally you have a fair amount of competition there, but for whatever reason, there were a lot of properties that sold for pretty much opening bids. I mean, almost everything that sold there sold for opening bids. There's only a few properties that really bid up much beyond, what opening bid was. And so a couple of examples here. This one's a new example I was looking at. This one is, it's a single family home, that sold for 42,000. And looking at it, so it has an assessed value of 204,000. The red pins, value on it is like 293 because it also includes either 10 or 12 acres. I couldn't determine which one was right, but I think it's about 10 acres. And so this ended up being a pretty good purchase here. The home is, I think it's a 1960 home. It's kind of an older home, probably in need of a lot of repair. But a lot of this is, I guess, to pay such a low amount, you've got a lot of room to do whatever you want. You could wholesale the property, even if the house is junk. You could wholesale the property at that kind of a price and make good money on it, or you could fix the property up and make great money on it.
Yeah, exactly. We always say that there's three ways you can sell a property at this point. We can sell it as is. We can go ahead and go through quiet title and just kind of clean the property up. We're not doing any of the rehab. We're just changing the locks, getting it cleared out, cleaned up, and then selling it that way after we go through a quiet title so that we can at least sell it as a regular property where somebody could come in, get a loan on, and then fix it up. Or we would go ahead and rehab the property. So in a home like this, we would probably either choose option 2 or option 3, but it would kind of depend on once we get in there and look. If it's going to need more work than we want to deal with, then we might go ahead and just go through quiet title, clean it up, and then sell it using a warranty deed, but not rehabbing it. Or if it looked like, hey, it really won't be too bad for us to do the rehab on this, then we would go ahead and do the rehab.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, pretty good deal. Let's see here. This is the one we looked at yesterday. That was a crazy deal. Sold for 13,000, which was again not very high above what the opening bid amount was on this property. Which is valued at about, this one I think is valued at about 200,000 and is close to being usable right now if it's not usable right now. And so this one was a shocking one just because you rarely see properties sell for this low of like this bid value ratio was about 6 to 7%, which is crazy. We don't normally see that. That's a rare deal right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is also a Washington auction. So we're talking about in a pretty good market, pretty good real estate values within there. You can see even in 2005 they spent 80 grand for it, and it's gone up huge since that time. So we're talking about a property that's valued at near 200,000. So even if you had to go in there and do $50,000 worth of rehab to really get it to that $200,000 mark, you're still going to be into the property less than 25 cents on the dollar. And so this really was kind of one of those properties that we say is a home run. Even based on the fact that, it may need some rehab, but it looks like it's pretty good. I mean, we pointed out yesterday that the roof looks like it's probably, under 10 years old. And so all of those are good indications that this could be a really good deal for the investor.
Yeah, this one really is excellent. I started looking more into the sale and I just kept finding more of these deals. And part of what this allows you to see is, in fact, you can see that the number of bids on this property was just one bid. And they want it there at 42,000. So they basically want it for the opening bid amount. It's a house that, one of the images there shows it and it appears like it was being lived in, and you can tell certain things about it. Like, for instance, the front windows have been replaced, on the property there. It's hard to tell the roof condition because it's got a lot of pine needles and stuff on it, but it may not be as bad. Sometimes it's hard to tell, from the image. essentially. But it looks like somebody was living here, at some point here. Looking at the values, it assesses at 187. So again, just based on the assessed value, the investment is pretty safe. And with the market value there being around 240, again, they paid about 17% of value for it. So they got a great deal on this property, which is, it's a couple of acres, so it's a couple acres with a home there. They did really well with it. It has a 2-car garage there as well. They have plenty of room here to either sell it just as it is if they want. They could fix it up and then sell it. They could take it through quiet title here if they wanted. If they found a buyer immediately, they could probably use a service to get title insurance on it. So I think you've got a lot of options, especially when you pay this low of a price. I would not be surprised at all if if this buyer didn't get somebody that was going to come out there and offer them the property outright for something, for 100,000 or 120,000 or whatever that number is, to another bidder, to another investor, to not do anything with it. Just based on what they've acquired and what they bought it for. I think they could do really well.
Yeah, I think they're going to do really well on this property. I mean, if you look at the price, they have about $200,000 worth of potential profit. So like Shade said, they could go ahead and take it through quiet title, rehab it. I mean, even if you were to, let's say, take it through quiet title and then spend the money to clean the property up. So you're probably going to need to, go in there and change the locks and clean that. And let's say that we're into it for 10 grand or close to it. So we're into it about 50 grand. At that point, going through quiet title, well, somebody would come and buy this property for 100. It's a low end, 150,000. And even within that, you're making a massive return on your profit, and you needed to go through the option of doing the rehab yourself. So we're just cleaning it up. But then if you looked at it and you wanted to rehab it, then you could even make more than that. Instead of making 100,000, maybe you could make 200,000 or 150,000 on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of options here, with a property like this. And yeah, it's all about picking it up at a good low price. That's why a lot of times when Steve and I are talking about prices, on the right property, we're willing to pay up if the property is newer or something like that. If there's a reason to pay up for it, it can make sense. We've seen deals like that. But even then, there's not too many cases where we're going to pay over 50% for a property. That's pretty rare. It would have to be some exceptional circumstance for us to really feel comfortable paying more than 50% for any kind of improved property. Or even that's probably even true with a lot of land as well. It would have to be the right property in order for us to do that. So most of the time, our bid to value ratio is probably going to fall closer to, even on homes, probably like 25 to 35 or 40%. It's usually within about that 15 or 20% range.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at that property, it looks like the truck is there. I'm not sure if they're still living there or not, but we have one of our properties. I've got to reach out to a tow company or a junkyard because we've got to remove an abandoned car that's on our property, one of the properties, the tax deed homes that we purchased. And so in that case, we send out a letter to them letting them know, or the past homeowner, whoever was the last person to own it, that we need to have this moved. And then after a period of time, usually between 10 to 14 days, if they haven't taken any action, then we can go ahead and have that removed. And so that's kind of the same case. If we were to go inside this home and let's say that there's furniture and things like that, what we'll do is send the previous owner a letter letting them know that they need to remove the property, give them a time to be able to do that. And then if they don't do that, that's where we'll go ahead and, get rid of it, take it to Goodwill, junk it, or you could even sell it if you wanted.
Yeah, really, there are a lot of important steps that you take right after you purchase, to make sure that you can get the property on the market soon, to make sure, you can take advantage of it quickly. It's important, to get somebody out there so that you can get things like the locks changed. You can even if you're an out-of-state investor, it's really about, getting some locals there that can help you do this work, and they can kind of act as your boots on the ground for getting this done and getting the property listed, quickly, getting it sold. Because the sooner you get it on the market, the faster you're going to find somebody, that may want to buy it, especially if the speed of the transaction is important to you. Here's another example just from yesterday as well, but this one's worth looking into because again, it sold for pretty much opening bid amount, which is about 16,000, which might seem like a lot of money for a vacant piece of land until you realize, that it's a piece of land that is that's been paved. So, and it's also commercial, so it sits right between these two properties here. It's a decent sized lot, and its valued assessed at 129,000, which means they picked it up for about 13% of value. But what this property offers that a lot of other pieces of land don't necessarily is the potential for monthly revenue with them. These are the kinds of properties that you can rent out month to month because they have use and value for people that are there in the area. I mean, this is Aberdeen, and so in the city of Aberdeen, if you wanted to, or if you, so many different things you could use a piece of property like this for, that people would be interested in buying. So you could either sell it outright, or you could basically look for users of the property or offer it out, for rental.
Yeah, in fact, this is a property that, I really wish we would have bidded on. In fact, this particular auction was one that we have on what's called our pre-selected list for our coaching students, and these are different auctions that we've attended or bidded in the past, or I've looked at the results. And this here is a great piece of property. I mean, you're talking about a commercial location. You're talking about an opening bid or close to an opening bid price that they were able to acquire it for. They got it for about 12, 15 cents on the dollar for a property that's probably valued over 130,000. I would bet 150 to 200,000 if we really looked into the market. And this is also an auction that took place on bid for assets. So there were some other Washington auctions on public surplus and some of those other sites that aren't even going to have the type of traffic. And so you can see that, and this is something we mentioned to the coaching students last night, that we're seeing less competition than we did 6 months ago or a year ago. And it's starting to look like it was, about a decade ago when the tax sale market got really good. That's the one fortunate thing I guess I could say about tax sale investing is when the normal market, the economy kind of goes bad, it's actually a good time to be a tax sale investor.
Yeah, well, and auctions like this also show you that, if as long as you're staying active and you are getting registered for auctions, eventually you're going to run into an auction like this where there's just not as many bidders for whatever reason, or whatever it is that happens, there's not as much competition, and you almost have kind of your pick of what it is that you want, and you can win it all for the minimum prices, which means that everybody that bought in this auction probably did really well. And pretty well, is going to make money on it because nobody bid anything up. Everything pretty much sold for minimum amounts or close to minimum amounts. And so that almost guarantees profitability because every deal you look at is going to look kind of like this, or at least most of them look a lot like this. So yeah, it only takes one sale like this, and suddenly you could pick up several pieces of property for very low percentages of value like this, and would have the ability to make quite a bit on them. Now I saw a couple of questions here. What if you don't have an address for the prior owner? Where do you send notices? That's a great question. So we're always looking at the mailing address for the property. I guess when we start doing research on the property, it's going to have a physical address and a mailing address, and we're always using the mailing address because if the mailing address is generally going to be the address that things are forwarded over to or sent to, unless the property happened to be owner occupied. And it's vacant at this point, which I'm not sure if you really have anywhere to send it to. But yeah, that's who we usually send it to, and that's where the previous owner was receiving their mail or mail about the property.
Yeah, that's who we're going to be required to send it to. So you don't necessarily need to try to do a skip tracing or something like that. Whatever was the last mailing address, that's where we're going to send it, like Shade said, and really trying to make sure that we do things right so that, that person can come out and say, hey, I didn't get a letter. In fact, when we do it, in fact, we're going to be sending some more letters this week to properties we purchased. We go ahead and send a certified letter and just a normal letter. We want to give ourselves the best chance of actually getting a hold of them. And so in that case, we'll send out a certified letter so we can say, okay, here's our proof that we sent it, or a signature or something like that, where we can prove that we sent it. And then also just send it through the normal mail so that if they don't get that certified letter, at least they're getting a notice to it as well.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, and We always send that out. Essentially, it's the same thing that the county does when they perform a title search on the property. Some counties do that when they're foreclosing on it. But even when you do a title search, all you really have to go off of is what the owner information that the owner's left for you, basically. So that's usually going to be just the mailing address of the property. And if there's any other people that are interested in the property or have interest in the property, you would send it out to them as well. So you basically treat the owners like they're the same. If there's multiple owners, you're going to send out multiple letters.
That is a good deal. It's already fenced, ready to go.
Yeah, it really is. It is fenced. You could do so many things with a fenced lot like that that's paved. Yeah, just it would be pretty easy to rent out. And you could probably rent it out for more than you think you could. I mean, commercial properties are not cheap.
When I see commercial properties like this, I can't help but think of renting it to somebody like a food truck.
Yeah.
Or so. I mean, you'd have to check, but some of those commercial properties. In fact, I'm just thinking of one that one of our students bought years ago, one of our first coaching students, and it was essentially a paved lot next to the Pizza Hut. Well, how great would have that been, to use that paved lot and hold on to it and rent it out to something like that, where you keep the asset, but you're getting income off of it.
One thing that could actually be pretty helpful too is when you're looking into these areas and you start to get into something like the zoning, it would be worth the time with a commercial property like this, to look into the property, or even if it's residential. A lot of residential properties will allow certain kinds of business there if you read into their zoning laws. So it's worth reading into the zoning laws a little bit to see, if it can lead you or give you any hints on the best way to market the property, or things that you might market the property to. Understanding what all of the options are, because that'll usually be included in some of that zoning information.